Persona 5 Royal is undoubtedly one of the best JRPGs ever made for a variety of reasons. The graphics, music, the story, and most importantly, the dungeons. The dungeons in this game take the form of palaces, the displays of one's disordered desires. The dungeons in Persona 5 Royal are amazing and do something a lot of other JRPGs struggle with, not being repetitive. But by far, one of the top 3 palaces in the game has to be the first palace, Kamoshida's The Castle of Lust. Today, I will be using 3 subjects, story, gameplay, and payoff, to tell you what makes the Castle of Lust one of the best palaces in Persona 5 Royal. Enjoy. So you know that we out there, swatting lights in the naked. Yeah, we'll pass without breaking. Can't hold on our life for change. And our voices ring out, yeah. Took a mask off to be free. Falling out in the debris. Now we know that love will take. Kamoshida's palace takes place during the beginning of the game and serves as a type of tutorial for about half of it. This also means that there is a ton of story for this palace. We were introduced to our first 3 party members in this palace. Morgana, the smart cat-like thing that is your navigator through most of the game. Ryuji, the typical idiot blonde kid. And An, the not-so-popular hot girl at the school. This palace obviously takes place in the beginning of the game, so for most of the story, you are being introduced to a ton of characters and story beats. You find out that you were trying to help a woman being abused by a very rich man by pushing the man down, injuring him. The man then sues you and pays everyone around not to testify correctly. You/Joker, your palace name, are placed on probation for 1 year and have to go to a coffee shop in Yoganjaya to live. You are taken in by a man named Sojiro Sakura, who owns the coffee shop, LeBlanc. When your first day of school starts, you see An go into a car with the school gym teacher, Kamoshida. You then meet Ryuji and you walk to school together. You then get to the school, but the school is replaced by some sort of weird castle. You go inside and get trapped by these weird guards. You then find out that the ruler of the castle is Kamoshida himself, but a shadow version. You then summon to your persona Arsene in a crazy cool cutscene. Persona is the showing of somebody's rebellious spirit. You then beat up some guards and find a weird cat thing named Morgana. Morgana helps you navigate throughout the palace so you can leave. You then go back the next day and Ryuji summons to his persona, Captain Kidd. You then beat up some horses and leave. You then find out that Morgana left the castle and became a real cat in the human world. So he now travels around with you when you're in the human world and in the metaverse, which is what the world that has the castle is called. You then watch as An's best friend, Shiho, who's on the volleyball team, coached by Kamoshida, jumps off the top of the school trying to kill herself. After going outside and finding Shiho, you, Ryuji, and another kid, Mishima, go up to confront Kamoshida, where he says that you and the other 2 kids will be expelled in about 16 days. This is the start of the deadline for the palace. You then go to the palace, but An accidentally comes in with you and is captured by Kamoshida. She then summons her persona and beats the hell out of a shitting devil. That's not a joke, by the way. The palace then officially starts. Not a ton of story really happens until the end once you beat Kamoshida, but that will be saved for payoff. So in conclusion, The story is very good and very intriguing, but nothing absolutely groundbreaking or incredibly new. At least for this palace. Kamoshida's palace is very simple gameplay-wise, which makes sense as it hosts the first few big fights in the game. Most shadows in the palace, shadows are the enemies of the game, are weak to the first few party members you get. Fire, lightning, and wind. And whatever else you want to use. Oh, and you have the special power of the wild card, allowing you to use any persona that you please with the help of Igor in the Velvet Room. Every shadow has a weakness that can be exploited in some way, but the shadows that can't be exploited are the main fights in the game, the bosses and mini-bosses. Most of the bosses. Kamoshida's palace only has a few mini-bosses, mostly ones that occur during the party members' awakenings, with the main boss being Kamoshida himself. Kamoshida's boss is special as it serves as a kind of precursor for the rest of the bosses in the game. Kamoshida's fight is as simple as attacking until a prompt comes up to take his crown, which when the crown is taken after a few amount of turns, he will be defeated. The gameplay is as simple as that. The layout of the palace is actually really interesting and has a lot of crazy rooms that I would not expect from a castle theme and really add on to it. Files in the game indicate that Kamoshida's palace was intended to be much larger than it is in the final game, which contains a sewer, a bed containing female volleyball, student conditions, a rat puzzle like those seen in Shido's palace, and a much larger torture gym, which would have made the gameplay a little more interesting, but I genuinely don't think it's necessary, because I feel like at that point, the palace would probably start to drag on a little bit. Definitely the most simple gameplay out of any palace in the game, but that doesn't mean it's anywhere near bad. Kamoshida's arc finally ends on May 2nd, in-game obviously, during a school assembly where Kamoshida bursts into the assembly and admits to his crimes and apologizes to the people he has hurt. He says that he will pay for his crimes and that he feels horrible, which you can tell he really does by the brilliant tone in his voice done by his voice actor. It's really nice to see the story with the volleyball team as a whole wrap up, but a lot of the characters from the arc are not wrapped up yet, like Mishima, An, and Shiho, which you will get clarification on by Mishima, An's confidants, and just, obviously, the game. The Phantom Thieves then celebrate their victory and officially become the Phantom Thieves of Heart. Overall, this arc, / palace, ends very nicely with a little bow on top, which I think is great for a tutorial type thing. In conclusion, I love this palace, and it hooked me into the game almost immediately. It's a great start to the story and the game, and telling you basically what's ahead. This palace alone shows why I love this game so much. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more of these videos. This is also my first video like this, so it's obviously not going to be spectacular, but hey, I'm hoping to branch out. So, yeah, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.